What's up, guys? I'm Crystal Lee Naomi, aka Jasmine Borders on Tyler Perry's Sisters. Be sure to subscribe to the Haves and the Have-Nots review for not only reviews on the Haves and the Have-Nots, but also on Sisters. And while you're at it, give your girl a follow on Instagram at Crystal Lee Naomi. And I'll see you every Wednesday at 9, only on BET.
All right, Sisters fans, this is season 2, episode 3. It's all about pacing. 8 out of 10. I thought it was a pretty solid episode. So that makes 3 8 out of 10s in a row. The first 2 episodes and this one. So go ahead and like the video. Let's try to get to 45 likes. Also hit the bell notification icon and select all. That way you keep yourself notified whenever I post new content to the channel. Hit subscribe so you can help me reach 150,000 by the end of the year. And follow me on social media. Links are in the description below. Yeah, so let's talk about this episode. It's pretty interesting because I need to separate my thoughts on this episode from the trailer for next week or this week's episode. But we got Zach finally walking out on Karen and Aaron, which I'm actually happy about because he's whining, but he and Danny leave. And, while he's kind of, speaking his piece, so to speak, Danny tries to interject and the lady is like, Danny, and Karen's like, Danny, now ain't the time. Like, I don't mind Danny half the time because she does speak the truth, but sometimes it's best not to butt into a conversation that you really shouldn't be a part of. But since, remember, Danny and Zach live together, they both split the scene. And honestly, I don't even need to recap what Zach was saying. He's like, he just realized that, you know what, while I'm cleaning my blood, this dude walks up in here and, well, yeah, that pretty much spells out that, yeah, she really does want this dude over me. So her and Danny leave. Then Aaron goes to a back room with Sabrina, and then Sabrina's like, oh yeah, we haven't officially met. Well, technically you have met last season when you barged into Karen's apartment during Aaron and Karen's date. And you literally make Aaron leave before they can even have a kiss goodbye because you were, if I'm not mistaken, talking to Karen about Andy's bad choices and how Gary threw his ex-wife off a parking garage, and then you bring up how you're worried about Andy being in another abusive relationship, despite the fact that that same day Calvin got drunk and said he would slap the shit out of you, and now he was currently passed out on your couch at that time. So no, Sabrina, you have met Aaron, but not in a favorable circumstance because you were rude. So Sabrina lets Aaron and Karen go to a back room to talk. Pretty much Aaron says that, hey, don't worry about Bean. He's not going to come after you. That side of the family only wanted money, so I gave them the house, full custody of the kids, the money. I just walked away from it all. That's either too good to be true or just a weird writing retcon to just get Fawn's family out of the entire picture. So we don't have to worry about them ever coming after Karen, and Aaron no longer has to explain anything about their whereabouts. Okay, so he offers to even have a cleaning crew come over to pay for the blood and everything to be removed. Honestly, that's like one of the first good things Aaron has done, but Karen refuses. So I'm like, well, if he doesn't do it, then Zach shouldn't even do it. I mean, Karen does say, Zach, I told you shouldn't even clean that blood, but Zach did it anyway. Well, what he could. But in any case, Karen still doesn't want the help. And then Aaron's like, hey, I'm staying at a hotel. I want you to stay with me. No, because you're a pastor. The temptation will be too much. And I don't think we should be, in a compromising position like that because of the fact that I don't want you to ruin your walk with Christ just to be with me. And she says she think about it because he ended up giving her the, what was it, like the key card or whatever. So then we go over to Karen talking with Andy and Sabrina and how Andy's recapping how bad situation is now. But Fatima sending Hayden over to talk with Andy. I think Andy even asked Sabrina if she could stay the night, and it's like, hey, it's not even a question. You definitely can, because remember, she has no money, she has no place to stay. So they're all sitting there talking because remember, Danny's gone at this point, and Andy's like, when this is all over, I need to call up Paris. And then Karen's like, wait, isn't that the son of the woman who does custodial work at your law firms? Like, yeah. And I'm thinking to myself, that's Andy strike one in this episode, because of the fact that prime example of a woman turning down a seemingly good guy to stay in the bad relationship she's in, not to mention an affair that she's in. But then when shit hits the fan and she makes it out of this mess, then she wants to call up the good dude, despite all the shit that you're currently in right now. And which begs the question of, given, the whole FBI arrest and whatnot, and then Andy being fired, I wonder if any of this made it to the news. I know that Jasmine said that she would ruin Andy's reputation, but none of that has been seen yet. So I'm like, what if Paris and his mother are just watching the news, and then Andy comes up about being involved in this money laundering thing, and then, that poor woman's like, I read her wrong. I thought she was a nice woman and everything. Yeah, she helped save my life, but I ain't know she was messed up in some illegal stuff. Now I feel bad about giving your phone number. Paris, if she tries to call you, you better not answer. Yeah, sure thing, Ma. And then imagine Andy, calling Paris like, I don't want nothing to do with your... See what I mean? It's like the girl who turns down the nice guy, they get into some shit, and then they come out of it, tarnish reputation, everything, and then they want to try to get with the right guy. Hell no. Move on. So from there, Karen goes to the salon, and she's getting, her hair done and everything, because she eventually would go over to the hotel to be with Aaron. And Pam, who I believe is a new character, is played by the same actress, Angela. Hang on, let me see if I can. Angela Benice. She also played Pat on If Loving You Is Wrong. And basically, she assumes that Zach and Karen are getting back together, but that's not the case at all. So she actually calls Zach later on in the episode to let him know about, hey, I'm glad you and Karen are working things out. I did such and such at the hotel. I think she said something along the lines of ordering wine and whatnot. Hey, I know your money's going through a lot right now, but once you get right, you can pay me back whenever. I just want you and Karen to be happy together. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Going back over to Danny's apartment, her and Zach get back. Turns out Preston came in and made a surprise dinner, rose petals on the floor and everything. And Zach needs to take a shower bad, because he's still, hey, he got to go to the chain breakers meeting. He's still covered in blood and whatnot. Preston's like, hey, go take care of your business, even though Danny doesn't want him to. And he just gushes over the fact that he made all that delicious food, himself. And I love that scene. And while Zach is getting ready to go, you got Danny like, okay, this is sweet, but how did you get in here again? What the hell's going on? And it turns out like the I guess like the landlord or whatever just let Preston into the apartment, and then Danny's like, I'm gonna have to talk with her. And to be fair, yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense, because that old woman doesn't know who Preston is. I mean, as far as I know, maybe she saw Preston and Danny together, but at the end of the day, that he could have been a lunatic that you let into the apartment. So Danny was right to be frustrated there. And he's like, hey, yeah, we need to slow things down and whatnot. So I wasn't fully upset with Danny, but at the same time, I could see both sides of the coin. So I will say that I'm not going to say that one of them was in the right, one of them was in the wrong. It's like Danny just, I mean, they were both making valid points. You're talking about me not coming up in here. What about you handcuffing me to the... Just this morning, you handcuffed me to the bed, not wanting me to leave, but then I come back and you're mad about that. I guess it's one of those power moves where, it's Danny wanted to be in control, so to speak. I guess it's the best way to break it down. But other than that, Zach comes out, takes a biscuit after they're just chilling on the couch, and he's like, hey, that's my lunch tomorrow. I laughed so hard because, living in a black household, it's not uncommon to hear my parents say that, hey, did you eat all you could? Okay. Hey, don't eat too much more, because I got to save some for lunch tomorrow. So I love how Zach grabbed that biscuit and got the hell out of there. So then we find out something interesting. Preston comes from a family who just happen to be, racist. They don't like black people. And then Danny rightfully asks, whoa. Because I think Preston brings up the fact that, okay, I don't like you using the N-word. I can say it, but you can't. It's like, well, my family says it. Wait, what? So Danny's rightfully worried. So when are you going to tell them about me? Have you told them about me? And do I have to worry about some KKK members outside my door? And, he's like, hey, I'm not like that. I'll tell him when the time is right. So this makes for an interesting story dynamic, because I was thinking that at the core, even though Danny has the most stable relationship in the show right now, she seems to be the biggest problem about her relationship. However, turns out Preston has a racist family, so this should lead to an interesting dynamic of how is Danny going to deal with this news? When is Preston going to tell his family? How will they deal with the fact that their son is messing around with a person of a ethnicity they don't like to mess around with? So that is interesting storytelling. So Zach is on his way to the chain breaker meeting, and Fatima hits him with her car, and she's like, oh my God, I hit somebody, but I was on the phone. And I'm like, wasn't she driving while answering the phone? Does she have like a car phone or whatever? And it's like she was talking with Andy, but her eyes were on the road. I think they were in the middle of the parking lot. And Zach was the one who just bolted out in the middle of the parking lot and then got hit by a car. So, I mean, I'm not an expert in this, but I would assume that Fatima would not be at fault. That's just my opinion. So, in any case, they go into the chain breaker meeting. It turns out they're both there since, you know, Fatima's also a member as well. And, let me get the guy's name. I don't want to mess it up. I think it's Chris, right? She's Miss Lisa's boyfriend, who's the ex-con, who also happens to be pulling in some major money. Yeah, it's Chris. And I love the dialogue in this scene because of the fact that it was really set up as soon as they said, hey, sign up. And after you sign up, let me just tell you about this great opportunity. I instantly thought pyramid scheme, Amway, trust and believe. I had friends who were doing that stuff back in college, and people I see now that try to, you know, like, well, they don't, I mean, even if I see them now, no, nobody has approached me for pyramids. Well, no, actually somebody tried to a couple months ago. I think it was about selling knives and everything. It's like, bro, I appreciate it, but I'm doing fine for myself. I don't need to be a part of anything like that. So it's just one of those situations where I love how he explained it, where it's not just where you put money into something and hope it blows up. It's like, no. You could either invest your money or your blood, sweat, and time. You could either, hey, here's some upfront money you can put into the renovation of a house and then sell it, and then we make profit from it. I love that aspect because of the fact that you can actually have tangible results. It's not a matter of getting like an army of people to come in and then do all this work while one person reaps the benefits. No, it seems like everybody comes out on top of this. And I really like that. So Chain Breakers really made for some good storytelling there. And then Zach, I just love how patient Chris was with Zach the entire time. It's like, and then we find out Zach is one hell of a mathematician. I mean, yeah, there's a difference between knowing money and having money, but I just love that we're seeing potential in Zach. However, the preview for next week pisses me off. But Chris is like, you know, hey, if you don't have the money, then you put in 80 hours, you know, and this and that. And it's like, what if you got a full-time job? Like, brother, you got to figure that shit out. And I'm like, I like that because Chris wasn't being disrespectful. It's like, hey, Zach, I'm telling you the formula right now. You're the one who's going to have to figure out what you want and how you want to make ends meet. Because if you really put in the time, the work, and or the money, you can make a return on your investment. So I really do hope this works out for Zach. So then Fatima offers him a ride home, and I love how Fatima doesn't have time for his attitude. Like, she's legitimately sorry, offers to do what she can for Zach, but he has that ego and he decides to take the ride. So I did love that. And also, you know, Pam had called about the hotel and whatnot, and I think that Zach asked to be dropped off there. And yeah, so we move to the end of the episode, and no, I didn't forget about the Andy Sabrina conversation. I'll get back to that. We move to the end of the episode. Karen actually goes over to the hotel, basically and I love her hair, very nice. And she basically explains to shirtless Aaron about how, look, I don't want you to break your vow and whatnot with God with me, just so you can feel comfort because you're hurting right now. And that actually does make a lot of sense. However, Aaron, I don't fully trust this dude. Now, I mean, at first I thought he was a bit too tipsy and he might force himself on Karen. And then if Zach showed up and saved her again, I'll be like, go Zach. But no, he just explains how basically Karen nailed it on the head. Like, hey, you're hurting right now. You just want me because you want to feel better, even though they both do seem to care about each other. But my question is, like, Karen, if you were really concerned about not, breaking the vow and whatnot, and understanding that you two can't keep your hands, off each other alone, why would you even go to the hotel? So they start making out, and I could have sworn that I heard a knock on the door before they even went in on each other, because I thought that was Zach, but I guess that wasn't the case, because they started making out, but then we flip over to Zach in the vehicle. So Zach and Fatima were on their way to the hotel, so that wasn't Zach at the door. Must have been an editing thing. So then we go over to Hayden, and off screen, Andy is telling him in regards to the whole Gary situation and what he could do to legally help her. And then he leaves, and then Sabrina and Andy have a talk. And like I tweeted, I didn't have a problem with what Andy was saying. I just didn't like that Andy was the one who was saying it. It's like, she basically talks about how, am I stupid? And it's like, no, you're not stupid for opening up your heart. Yeah, you kind of are, because you're not stupid for opening up your heart. You're stupid for opening up your heart to someone who was married, who was a cheater, and then you got involved into a lot of crazy shit. And then on top of that, she even adds on about how, I try to be professional. Am I right? Don't I have a right to be mad? Don't I have a right to be angry? Don't I have a right to express my feelings? Because, I don't want to be the stereotype of the mad black woman. But if people, or men specifically, even had to live like a minute of what we have to go through, then they would be mad too. And it's like, yeah, that's right. See, if there's only a good man, if only just half a good man. I'm thinking, why is Andy saying this? She is not a good woman. She's done a lot of foul shit, and she's just dogging on. This is what I hate about like chick flicks or those female empowerment speakers. Hey, don't say that. Jeremy's anti-women. No. I'm specifically referencing those speakers who talk about all the foul that men do without pointing the finger at women one time. Sidebar here, Liberty University. No, I'm not talking about the Falwell stuff, but being on campus back in the day, they would always have like a women's empowerment week, or like every week or month was something like, International Student Month, or, of course, Black History Month, or church planning, or Children's Day. There was always like an event and convocation and whatnot. And like they would have this women empowerment thing where, like, for that entire week, there were like 3 different combo speakers who were female empowerment speakers who would speak truth and good stuff. But I just felt like men were always victimized because of the fact that, are placed into the antagonist role, where these speakers, and even men, there were men speakers too, who always talk about how women need to protect themselves. Like, motherfucker, women do foul shit too. Like, men, we need to be prepped as well. But no, it's all about the women and how men are foul, and there's hardly any good men out here. And it's like, women do evil shit as well. So this is why the episode loses some points, because Andy is being written to be such an unlikable character, and we're only 3 episodes in from her saying, ooh, let me call up Paris once I'm done with this whole situation with Gary, or okay, yeah, it's a shame that I have to go through all this, and I have to be strong, and men, they don't know anything about what women go through. That's all I gotta say about the episode. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I think season 2 is off to a pretty strong start. I did notice there were a lot of pauses in here, but I think either I'm just used to it, or I feel like the content of the episodes are actually pretty damn good, so it's not as bothersome as it was before. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And yeah, I'd really appreciate a subscription. If you hit subscribe, give this video a thumbs up. And if you'd like to donate to the channel, feel free to do so on PayPal, Cash App, or join Patreon for as little as $1 a month.